I discovered my wife's cruel plan for our teenage son and it destroyed our family. So, this is a pretty heavy situation. And I'm really confused and disgusted, not gonna lie, cause I never thought my wife was like this. My wife Sarah 44 and I 45 have been married for 14 years. We have 2 kids, a 16-year-old son, let's call him Noah, and a 12-year-old daughter Emily. We've had our fair share of disagreements over the years OFC, but things have generally been smooth between us. I met Sarah at a mutual friend's barbecue back in 2009. She was this vibrant kindergarten teacher who loved kids and had this way of lighting up any room she walked into. We dated for about a year before getting married, and honestly, those early years were perfect. We both wanted kids, shared the same values, or so I thought, and had this vision of building a loving family together. Now for the context, Noah came out as gay about a year ago. It was a surprise, and as hard as it was to accept, I love my kids more than anything and just want their happiness. The day he told us, I remember it like it was yesterday. We were having dinner, our usual Friday night family meal where we all catch up on our week. Noah had barely touched his food, which was unusual because the kid usually eats like he's got a hollow leg. He kept fidgeting with his napkin, and I could tell something was weighing on him. After dinner, he asked if he could talk to us in the living room. Emily was upstairs doing homework, and Noah sat across from us, his hands shaking slightly. When he finally said the words "Mom, Dad, I'm gay," I felt this mixture of emotions I can't even describe. Part of me was scared for him because I know the world can be cruel, but mostly I just felt this overwhelming need to protect him and make sure he knew he was loved. My wife visibly didn't take it well though. She was upset and seemed to go through a grieving period where she didn't really talk about it. The next few weeks were tense in our house. Sarah would leave the room whenever Noah entered, making excuses about needing to do laundry or check on dinner. She stopped asking him about school or his friends, something she used to do religiously every day. It was like she was trying to pretend he didn't exist. I tried to support Noah in every way I could, telling him that I loved him no matter what, etc. We started having our own father-son time, usually on Saturday mornings. We'd go get breakfast at this little diner he likes, just the 2 of us, and talk about everything and nothing. He told me about this boy in his chemistry class he had a crush on, and even though it was different from what I'd expected for him, seeing his face light up when he talked about this kid made me realize that love is love, no matter what form it takes. My wife, though, I could tell she wasn't on the same page. She would say things like "this is just a phase" or "he needs help," but I brushed it off as her needing time. She started leaving these religious pamphlets around the house, stuff about finding your true path and overcoming spiritual challenges. I'd find them in Noah's room sometimes, carefully placed on his pillow or desk. Each time, I'd throw them away before he could see them. The tension started affecting Emily too. She's always been close to both of us, but lately, she's been caught in the middle. One night, I overheard her talking to Noah in his room. She was crying, saying she didn't understand why Mom was being so mean to him. Noah, showing maturity beyond his years, was comforting her, telling her it wasn't her fault and that sometimes people take time to understand things that are different. Sarah started spending more time at church, joining some new prayer group that meets on Wednesday nights. She'd come home with these intense looks, talking about saving souls and God's plan. I noticed she was spending a lot of time on her phone, always quickly closing whatever she was looking at when I came near. Looking back, I should have realized something was brewing. Last month, Noah joined the school's Gay Straight Alliance Club. When he told me, I could see how nervous he was, but also how much it meant to him to have a place where he felt understood. I went to their first parent meeting, wanting to show my support. The stories I heard there from other parents and kids. Some were heartbreaking, others inspiring. I learned about the challenges these kids face, about the importance of having accepting family members. Sarah refused to come, saying she had a headache. Fast forward to last week, and we were having a conversation about Noah's future. He'd mentioned wanting to apply to some art schools on the West Coast, and I was trying to discuss college plans with Sarah. Out of nowhere, my wife casually mentions that she's been looking into conversion therapy camps and thinks it might be the right solution. She said that Noah isn't truly gay, that he just hasn't been shown the right path and that this could fix him. My blood ran cold. I was in shock. She pulled out this folder full of brochures from her church group. These places had names like New Dawn Youth Ministry and Pathway to Truth Camp. The images showed smiling teens in outdoor settings, but reading between the lines, I could see what these places really were. Sarah had highlighted certain phrases: success rates, behavioral modification, spiritual cleansing. It made me sick to my stomach. I immediately told her I didn't agree and that this was not something I could support. The argument that followed was probably the worst we've ever had. She started throwing around terms like parental rights and spiritual intervention. She had printouts from some sketchy websites about former homosexuals who were now living God's plan. She got upset and said I was enabling Noah's confusion and that if I really cared about him, I would help him get better. WTF is wrong with her? She was persistent, and no matter how much I tried to explain that conversion therapy is harmful, like I know those kids get abused, are ped, and often end up either traumatized or killing themselves, and that I would never send our son to something like that, she wouldn't back down. Things escalated when she revealed she'd already put down a deposit at one of these places for a summer program. Without consulting me. Using money from our joint account. I lost it at that point, telling her she had no right to make that decision alone and that I'd fight her every step of the way if she tried to send Noah there. The next day, I contacted a lawyer friend of mine, James, to understand our legal options. He explained that in our state, both parents need to consent to send a minor to any kind of therapy or treatment program. He also mentioned that many states have banned conversion therapy for minors, calling it what it is, abuse. I made sure to document everything, saving screenshots of the website Sarah had looked at, keeping the brochure she'd brought home. Noah's been picking up on the tension, obviously. Last night, he came to my home office after everyone else was asleep. He was crying, saying he'd found one of the camp brochures in the trash and was scared Mom would send him away. I held him like I used to when he was little and promised him that would never happen. Not while I was alive to prevent it. Sarah's behavior has started affecting other aspects of our life too. She's been calling family members, telling them her version of events, painting me as some sort of enabler who's destroying our son's future. My sister Rachel called me yesterday, worried about some of the things Sarah had been saying in their family group chat. Apparently, Sarah's been sharing articles about the gay agenda and asking for prayers to save our family. Emily's struggling with all this too. Her grades have started slipping, and her teacher emailed us about her being distant in class. Last weekend, I found her in tears after overhearing Sarah on the phone with someone from her church group, talking about how she only has one real child now. That was the moment something in me just broke. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't even think I love her anymore. The fact she could be so heartless disgusts me. I know being gay is not easy and people like her just make it even harder. The woman I married, the one who used to sing lullabies to our kids and taught them to be kind to everyone, seems to have been replaced by someone I don't recognize. I've started quietly preparing for what might come next. I've opened a separate bank account and transferred half of our savings into it. I've gathered important documents and made copies. James helped me understand what custody arrangements might look like if things go that direction. The thought of divorce after 14 years is terrifying, but the thought of staying in this situation is worse. I'm considering staying, only for our daughter's sake, but would it be okay if it means hurting my son? It feels like a betrayal to Noah. What kind of message would I be sending to Emily if I stayed with someone who treats her brother this way? And Noah? He needs to know that at least one parent will always have his back, no questions asked. Last night, I found Noah and Emily sitting together on our back porch swing, the same swing where we used to read them bedtime stories when they were little. They were looking at old family photos on Noah's phone, from before all this started. Emily was asking him if he thought Mom would ever go back to being like she used to be. Noah just hugged her and said sometimes people change, but that doesn't mean we stop loving them. I just don't think I can keep living with someone who thinks this is okay. The Sarah I married would never have even considered sending our child away to be fixed. She would have been the first one to stand up against anyone who tried to hurt our kids. But this person she's become. I don't recognize her anymore. Yesterday, I found a support group for parents of LGBTQ+ kids. They meet at the local community center on Thursday nights. I'm thinking of taking Noah and Emily with me. Maybe hearing from other families who've gone through similar situations will help. Maybe it'll help all of us understand we're not alone in this. For now, I'm taking it day by day. I make sure Noah knows he's loved and supported. I try to help Emily understand that none of this is her fault. And I watch Sarah, the woman I thought I'd grow old with, become more and more of a stranger. Sometimes love isn't enough when your fundamental values about what it means to be a parent are so different. The hardest part is remembering how we used to be. The family camping trips, the holiday traditions, the inside jokes that only the four of us understood. But I can't let nostalgia cloud my judgment. My kids need me to be strong now, to make the right decisions, even if they're the hard ones. I've started looking at apartments in our school district. Just in case. Just so I have a plan. Because if Sarah goes through with trying to send Noah to one of those camps, or if she continues down this path of rejection and judgment, I know what I have to do. My children's well-being has to come first. Always.